There is a quiet truth many women discover too late. A man can be intelligent, deep, philosophical, emotionally expressive, and still be emotionally unsafe. Not dangerous in an obvious way, not cruel, not abusive, but unsafe in a way that slowly drains your nervous system. And philosophy, ironically, has been warning us about this for centuries. Today, we're not here to villainize men. We're here to understand a pattern that women keep encountering, often without language for it. Because once you can name a pattern, it loses its power over you.
Let's start with the kind of man women are often told to admire. He reads deeply. He feels intensely. He thinks endlessly. He talks about meaning, existence, love, suffering, truth. He doesn't avoid emotion. He lives in it. And at first, this feels refreshing. Finally, a man who can feel. Finally, a man who can articulate what others suppress. But slowly, something shifts. What begins as depth starts to feel like weight. Conversations become heavy. Communication becomes constant. Emotions arrive without warning and expect to be held immediately. You're no longer relating to him. You're regulating him. And here is the uncomfortable truth philosophy reveals. Emotional depth without emotional regulation is not intimacy. It is emotional overflow. Many brilliant men confuse expression with containment. They believe that because they are honest with their feelings, they are emotionally mature. But maturity is not about how much you feel. It's about what you do with what you feel. And this is where emotionally unsafety enters quietly. Emotionally unsafe men often don't shout. They don't threaten. They don't control overtly. Instead, they lean. They lean emotionally. They lean psychologically. They lean existentially. Their anxiety becomes a shared space. Their uncertainty becomes a joint responsibility. Their inner chaos quietly becomes your job to stabilize. And women, especially thoughtful, empathetic women, step in without realizing it. Philosophy gives us language for this. Existential thinkers spoke often about anxiety, despair, longing, meaninglessness. But what they didn't always acknowledge is this. When one person hasn't learned to sit with their own inner tension, they will unconsciously hand it to the closest person, usually the woman who loves them. This is why brilliance alone is not safety. A man can understand the structure of existence and still collapse emotionally in intimacy. He can write about freedom and still suffocate the woman he loves with emotional dependence. And many women feel guilty for noticing this. You think, he's just sensitive. He feels deeply. This is what emotional men look like. But your body knows something your mind hasn't named yet. Your body feels tense, drained, alert, responsible. That is not romance. That is your nervous system detecting imbalance. Here is a grounding truth for women. Emotional safety is not about how much someone shares. It's about whether you feel calm in their presence. Not excited, not intellectually stimulated, calm. Safe nervous systems don't need constant processing. Let's gently go deeper. Emotionally unsafe brilliance often looks like over-communication disguised as intimacy, intensity mistaken for connection, vulnerability without boundaries, depth without grounding. The man isn't trying to harm you, but he hasn't learned self-containment. And without containment, emotional energy spills everywhere, including onto you. This is where women lose themselves. You become the listener, the stabilizer, the mirror, the anchor, and slowly, without a clear moment of decision, your inner world begins to orbit his. Philosophy would call this loss of selfhood, and love was never meant to require that. Let's pause here for a moment of reflection. Ask, when I think of emotional safety, do I feel expanded or contracted? Do I feel grounded or vigilant? Do I feel chosen or needed? There is no wrong answer, only information.
Here is the reframe many women need but were never taught. Emotional intensity is not proof of love. Emotional stability is. A man who cannot hold himself will eventually ask you to hold him, whether he says it or not. And that dynamic slowly erodes desire, peace, and respect. This doesn't mean women should choose emotionally closed men. It means women should choose emotionally regulated ones. Men who can feel and contain, reflect and pause, express and self-soothe. Philosophy at its best was never about drowning in feeling. It was about learning how to live with it wisely. So if you've ever felt confused by a man who seemed profound but left you exhausted, you weren't imagining it.
Your intuition was naming something real. Depth without grounding is not safety. Brilliance without boundaries is not intimacy. And you are not cold, heartless, or avoidant for wanting peace. You are perceptive. Let's close with this. Love should not feel like an emotional assignment. Connection should not cost your nervous system. Depth should not require your self-abandonment. A woman does not exist to absorb a man's inner chaos. She exists to meet him when he can stand on his own. If this reflection resonated with you, stay with this channel. Here we explore philosophy not to impress the mind, but to protect the inner world of women who think deeply and feel clearly. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for the right kind of safety. And that matters.